You know who made it.
Live from LinkedIn, it's Reveting's Whiskey Wednesday. Welcome to Whiskey Wednesday, Revenue Party people. Eddie, where are you, Eddie? I'm so
Where else am I going to be?
excited.
Where the heck where am I going to be, Jess? Other than Whiskey Wednesday. Like, seriously, this is the
There
gem.
you are.
You're
There
not
you
here,
are.
you're crazy. Mildly. So, Jess,
It's
honestly,
extra
how awesome.
special Wednesday, Eddie, this week. Thanks to our sponsors, Phone Ready Leads, Olark, and Sam Sales. Thank you so much for all that you do.
So, I am super thrilled about them being with us. Now, I can't wait to tell our audience, of course, more about Phone Ready Leads. And, of course, some of the topics and prizes that we have. But before we do so, as you all know, we do have some PSAs. So, this case, we do have 4. So, stick with me. The first one is, as you know, yes, we do have whiskey in the name, Whiskey Wednesday. But, as usual, we do not condone neither promote the use of alcohol on any level. If you do decide to drink alcohol, please do so responsibly and do not drink and drive. You can choose to drink whatever it is that you like, water, juice, milk. Again, if you drink alcohol, please do so safely. The second point of the evening is, as you all know right now, there is a lot of volatility happening within the Florida region. So for anybody that is watching from there, know that our prayers, of course, are with you and we send you nothing but great wishes. And we hope that, of course, our audience does the same thing. If you are cushiony in bed right now, there are some people who do not have that luxury. So just don't take anything for granted. And remember to appreciate what you do have and not worry so much about what you don't for the time being. The third is we have prizes, as you know. So my head's here, but that's cool. So all of the prizes that you see here, we've got a ton. As you saw last week, we're going to be giving them away in pairs because we clearly cannot give them all one by one. It takes way too much damn time. So lucky winners are going to get 2, maybe even 3. We'll see how we make it happen. And the fourth and final, as you see above me, we do have our 3 super awesome sponsors, Sam Sales being our first. Now, there is another thing that we're going to be doing with Sam Sales this evening. Sam Sales has done a charity event that we would love to be able to push towards. I'll include the link a little bit later on, and also a little ticker at the bottom to tell you some of the charities that they're aiming for. Second, Phone Ready Leads. That's, of course, Ryan Reiser's. We're going to tell you a little bit more about it throughout the entire show. If you do want to know more, there is a QR code right at the bottom of the screen. Go ahead and capture that. He has graciously, him and his team, given us a huge prize for this evening. It's $3,000 worth of phone ready leads. We may have him on or we may not have him on to explain a little bit more. And of course, our last Olark is, think about just a chat bot on steroids. We're going to get more into that later. But for now, why don't we get into some guests and why don't we just have some fun and just kick it? Jess, want to bring us back?
Yeah, thank you, Eddie. And I'll second what you said about Florida and hope everyone stays safe there and hopefully with power. Special shout out to my BDEX team. We're based out of Miami. Some people were impacted in the Sanibel area. So, just thinking of you and hope everyone stays safe, please. But Eddie, before we get into our hot topics, what do you say? Let's welcome our guests. We have Gabrielle. Gabrielle, thank you so much for being here. We've got Jen Allen. We've got Nate Nasralla. And we've got Andrew Mewborn. And of course, our secret guest, Ryan Reiser. Thank you for being here.
What do you all have for breakfast?
Yes.
I had eggs and bacon.
Yes.
Fantastic. It's awesome. Thanks for having me on the show.
Hey, you want to roll the dice?
Oh, thank you all for having me in here. I hope I
Thank
can.
you for everybody
Everyone,
being here.
thank
We
you so
are
much for being here.
extremely grateful for everybody. So just so that everybody knows, we've gotten a ton of feedback before the show. Everybody thought that this was like just a magnificent mix. And just being backstage with all of you, I can tell you right now, for all of those watching, it is a magnificent mix. Everybody here seems to jam and get along, like usually every show. So, I mean, why don't we just go ahead and kick it off with the first topic? And as you know, we're going to give away some shit during the entire show. So, Jess?
What do you say, Eddie?
You already got it up.
Before we get into the first topic, why don't you introduce the first hashtag, and which is hashtag brand30.
Let's do
And
it.
if you haven't been here, what you need to do is just put hashtag brand30 in the comments to enter to win. Our first prize bundle will include the signed copy of Heels to Deals from the amazing Heidi Solomon Orlick. And then, of course, hashtag brand30, a digital course by Andrew Mewborn himself here. Andrew, anything you would like to share about the course, since you just happen to be here with us?
And tell them
my
how
God.
much it's worth.
Yeah, it's like $200, y'all, but that's not the important part. The important part is we're here right now, which is amazing. Thanks for having me. And the disclaimer was amazing because I was like, I'm just drinking water right now, so I hope I'm not ruining the vibe. So for those just drinking water, what up? But yeah, y'all, the production value, I felt like I just got out of like a Swedish House Mafia concert coming into this thing or something. I was like, maybe there's something other than water I should be eating right now. But anyways, so Brand 30, what is it? It's essentially a 30-day course to help you build your personal brand online. So we've had some awesome people come out of Brand 30. Tom Slocum, who's in here. Anthony Natoli, if you're in the sales world, has come out of that. Bunch of great people have come out of Brand 30, so it's awesome to see that. Mark said, I look like a little Jake Dunlap. That's funny. Sorry.
Nailed it.
That caught my eye. I'm like, oh, okay.
Nailed
The
it.
audience is typing in hashtag brand30 to enter to win those prizes. What do you guys
Let's
think?
go.
We pop into this first topic, which
Just do it.
thanks to Gabrielle, was partially, I think this was one of yours, keeping it casual on LinkedIn. I think you associated not pitch slapping with it. So would you mind kicking us off on this topic, Gabrielle?
Oh, you're on mute.
The mute is sometimes, just like the.
No, I wasn't on mute. Am I back now? No, I wasn't
You're
even on
back.
mute though. Yeah, I
I
was
can hear you.
Listen, I'm just having a lot of technical difficulties today. So I think like one of the big things. So I'm like a BDR manager. I'm managing outbound prospecting teams. One of the big things that we're trying to do is engage with folks, and I'm also somebody who is a recipient of a lot of prospecting outreach, especially on LinkedIn. So one of the biggest things that I cringe about is, all right, someone reaches out to me, they're like, hey, GB, really like your content, or hey, GB, really want to connect. I accept. And then I get, the first message. And then immediately after, like 2 minutes after accepting, I get pitch slapped, like just right on my forehead. And I think it's an immediate turn off for me. And I'm like, why even engage on this stuff? And I'm also, I've got a bunch of reps that I'm managing, and they're trying to figure out like, how do I engage with folks on social? So it's almost like they're trying to like figure out, how do I put an email in a LinkedIn message? And I'm like, that is not what LinkedIn is for. It's supposed to be much more casual. So this is my first time on Whiskey Wednesday, so I don't know what the format is, but like my opening and what I'm curious about from everyone is like, what are your takes on like the worst outreach of getting pitch slapped on LinkedIn? Or if you're like, hey, like, what do you wish you would see when people are reaching out, especially for the purposes of starting a kind of cold conversation to turn it warm? So yeah.
Let's get some
Who wants to
insight
take that
here.
one?
Jen, you want to start off?
Yeah, I mean, so I've been in sales for about 18 years. I've made every possible mistake at least 10 or more times. And if I reflect back onto being an early seller, like I used to have this belief that professional sellers sounded professional, right? Like you use these words, and if you use these words, you're in the club, and it makes you sound like you know what's going on. And I remember one of the very first times I met with a prospect who was like, can you just explain that to me like I'm 5? And I realized like the words I was using, all the buzzwords, Gabrielle, to your point, was making me sound more naive, not in the club. And so I'm with you. I think one of the things I love personally on LinkedIn is the amount of content that I'm seeing where people are just really being their authentic selves. I know that sounds like kind of cheesy, and that's a term that's overused. But like if I look at like a Will Aitken, right? Like he shows up as exactly who he is. He has a ton of fun doing it. And I think just as humans, like we're drawn to that. We're all on social feeds, if it's TikTok, if it's Instagram, whatever. There's no reason we have to have different rules that apply in a LinkedIn message. So I'm with you, Gabrielle. Like I like when people are just honest, when they're vulnerable, when they're authentic, and they have some fun with it. Like if I want to read a bunch of corporate emails, I can check my inbox for that.
Oh, I'm terrible at my inbox, so I don't even check it. I'm just like, yeah, no. I think I've honestly, like, the more time that's passed, the less attention I have. I'm just like, is it pleasant to engage with? Is it quick? Is it short? Like, does it get to the point, or do I need to have a PhD to understand what someone is saying to me? I'm like, listen, y'all, like, we're not saving babies. Like, let's chill. Let's just have a regular conversation.
So here's my take to build on that. That's part of the issue, is so many people treat it as another email inbox. And so they jump right into a message immediately as the first point of contact. And like the thing about social is it's not another email inbox. Like you have all of these opportunities to warm up, interact, join a conversation, see what you're writing about. And then like, you're like, oh, cool. This person is sharing some stuff that I'm like, I dig. They seem pretty interesting. You see their name a couple times. And then when they get the message, it's totally different. And so when you jump right into a message, it's like no different from email. Like you're not using the advantages that social can give you when you start more casual and just like have some conversation like out in the open, and then you can go over into a message.
I think it's fascinating because the evolution, I don't know how long, obviously, we've got an 18-year-old vet here. I don't know how everyone else's experience has been here, but I started my sales career in 2008. So I think it's like 15 years now. And it was before LinkedIn was popular at all, right? It existed, but no one was on there. You didn't have all these data tools, so you couldn't enrich your records off of LinkedIn. You weren't spending any time on LinkedIn. And so I've seen the evolution from it was a thing that you should do. It was more like a resume for getting a job, all the way through to way before anyone was a content creator. And so it was like, you know, you weren't posting to create content. You were basically starting to use it as a database. And then all of a sudden you see this evolution of content, but it was only for those like really sophisticated, you think of them like the new older school sellers, right? The jargon, oh my God, I don't want to make a typo type of thought leaders, those ones that we all probably know. And then all of a sudden, last couple years, you've seen it become a lot more casual. And, you know, seeing that ride for me personally has been really exciting because for all the points that have been made, it's opened up a new opportunity to engage with people that is supposed to be different, that is supposed to open up your creativity and your ability to really start to build relationships outside of some of those more traditional touch points, whatever you want to call it. And what I like about what we're seeing in this evolution now is that you have an opportunity to really differentiate yourself in LinkedIn, in social, and on a business level, right? So you've got TikTok and all this other stuff, But on a business level, you can actually kind of bring your personality plus your knowledge together. And so when we're talking about the DM stuff, I've never been a big DMer, but I've been playing around with a lot of stuff. I use video a lot. I use voice messages in like really funny ways. But it's usually off of what's already been discovered here. Like I've already engaged people. We have back and forth. We're commenting. If anyone follows me, I say some random ass shit, and people kind of get around that. And then I can bring that to the DM and take it to like that funny, then goes into, well, actually, I had a question for you. Right. And so that's how I've used it. And the folks that are new and they might be getting started with their career and they're taking coaching and maybe they're part of an older company, they're going through some of these old school social selling courses, you're stuck in the past. Times have changed a lot, right? So that's where you're seeing this pitch slap crap, which is basically like an inbox because they're using it. That's what it used to be. So great points, everybody. That's it's really exciting to see this evolution though. And if you're building a brand, you're building a voice, you're going to separate yourself from a lot of other sellers.
Hell yeah. Nate, what do you think?
So the other like kind of rule that comes to mind, Morgan Smith and Nick Thickett have this phrase called the vampire sales rule, which I think is so good. And it comes from this idea in folklore, a vampire was only allowed into your house when they were invited in. And so their like thing for social selling is like, obey the vampire sales rule. You can't pitch or enter the DM until you're invited to. And so you have to start a conversation and continue to build a relationship out in the open. And then somebody will invite you in and be like, hey, by the way, I wanted to like ask you, could you dig into that a little bit more? And I think it's just like it's a good like thing to keep in mind, or a good phrase is like the vampire sales rule.
I love it. Andrew, tell us something.
What's up, y'all? So with this, I go back to what was said earlier, which is really nothing new. I don't hit up people cold in DM. Seeing response rates from not millions of sellers, but hundreds of thousands of sellers at outreach and all that, right? Like the best thing that you're going to be able to do, and from all the sellers I've spoken to, is engage first. And then I like that vampire method that you were mentioning, which is like be invited to get into the DMs, right? Following up on a comment someone made on your stuff. I like to go see who liked my stuff, because that means they probably know who I am, and do it in a timely manner. So if someone liked it within that same day, go and saying, hey, what's up? And not pitching at all. So I just keep it super simple, treating it like I walked up to someone at an event and I'm like, hey, how's it going? What's your name? So just keeping it super simple, chill, nothing too crazy. And I think too, I have something similar to the vampire thing you just mentioned. I call it like LinkedIn robot syndrome, where people think that when you get on LinkedIn, that everyone suddenly like turns into a robot. And so their content has to be a robot, and like their DMs have to be super robotic. But LinkedIn robot syndrome, people are just still people when they're on LinkedIn. They don't suddenly turn into like some corporate, robot monster some way. So I always try and keep that mindset in that as well.
So true. People are people. And I have to direct everybody, if you don't mind, I have a pitch slapping song. I played the piano. I can't remember. Was it Adele? I played the tune to, and I made a parody to pitch slapping, or the pitch slappers out there, and how I would never buy from them, and they should just admit that they're unhappy too. But I had actually, the reason I thought of that is someone commented on that old video today. I think I have it highlighted on my page. And someone commented on it saying, if you just sent me this as a cold DM, I would totally reply to you. And I'm like, well, I don't typically send cold DMs. But yeah, I think that's a good idea. And it kind of goes along with this topic of keeping it casual. People are people. That's such a great point. Where people, whether we're on Facebook or whether we're on LinkedIn, do you want a cold DM on Facebook? Probably not. Do you want a cold DM on LinkedIn? Probably not. So, it's all about like posting quality content, in my opinion, and having a point of view to draw in your tribe and share content that's relevant to your audience, and then engaging with them, not just expecting them to comment on yours, and expect to give 99% more than you receive. You'll give 99 times, and then finally, you'll have that one comment back. And that's how you'll end up growing and closing the trust gap with your audience, so that then you're not pitch slapping in the DMs. So let's knock all that off, you old school sellers out there on LinkedIn.
I think you make a great point there. And to answer your question, Gabby, go ahead. I was going to get back to answering your question specifically, but I don't want to interrupt. You go ahead.
Yeah, I had like one thought, because all right, I'm definitely a proponent of like reaching out to people in their DMs. There's a difference between like starting a conversation and then smacking someone upside the head with a pitch. It's like a bait and switch kind of thing. If it's like, hey, I'm looking to build my network, awesome, and then the next thing you know, you've got 3 paragraphs of content that hit your inbox, and I'm like, I don't want until LinkedIn actually equips me with email, like inbox functionality. Like, I don't want to get an email in my inbox or like in my LinkedIn messages. But like, there are some folks that I've seen do the like, hey, build rapport. I think like LinkedIn's a great place to build some rapport first. So whether that's you're sharing out content, you're paying attention to what they're posting. Some of the best reps that I've seen be really successful on LinkedIn is like they're going in and they're trying to find what can this person like teach me if I wasn't like talking to them like they were a prospect. So like they might have personal interest, for example, and reaching out to someone and starting off with that. Or if you're a salesperson selling sales technology and you're going after VP of sales, it's beautiful because you could be like, hey, like you are in a position that I would like to be in eventually. You can ask some questions about how they've typically gone about stuff, and then hit them with like once you're in a conversation, and maybe this follows the like vampire rule, right? Like once you're actually in the conversation, maybe you can hit them and say like, hey, I had a question for you, right? Like you don't even try and pitch them. Like when I'm selling Gong, it's like, all right, hey, you've done things X, Y, and Z, and I'd love to get your feedback about something like this technology. Not like if you're interested, awesome, but I really just want to get your feedback. And then from there, someone goes, hey, listen, I actually want to check that out, right? Like now you can convert someone into a meeting by chance, or if you follow up later on and you see they've written an article or whatever, and say like, oh, hey, your article resonated, here's something. But like they know who you are. You haven't gone in with a pitch immediately, but you have let them know like, yo, like I work here. I'm asking these questions. I will at some point in time holler at you. Today's not that day because we're playing the long game, baby. So yeah, that's like the thought that I had for LinkedIn of like actually sliding into someone's DMs, but doing it respectfully.
Hell yeah. That's really well said.
And I wanted to answer your question specifically about like reps and how to do that, because you're saying like, well, what is the tactic? And to your point, when you're seeing, hey, you want a network and then a paragraph, that's an automation, right? So a lot of if you don't know that that's an automation, and someone's using an automation tool and you're in a sequence, that's what they're doing. There's no way they're writing that stuff out. It's just an automation. I think the intent is the challenge. So if you're a new rep, or in your case, to answer your question earlier about like, hey, what are some ideas around how to leverage that? You just answered a lot of those, but your intent, a lot of reps, unfortunately, their intent, whether it's the phone, whether it's social, whether it's email, their intent is meeting. That's all they care about. So if that's your intent and all you're trying to do is look at a lead and get a meeting, you're going to fail every time because it's not going to come off as authentic, and you're not going to actually get anywhere beyond what an automation could do anyway, right? If you are getting success with that intent, regardless of how skilled you are, you're essentially just capturing the demand that would have come from an advertisement or a bot, right? So be human, as we've all said, but also just recognize that in these channels, and it should be every channel, that your first intention should not be, how do I schedule a meeting with this person to sell them some shit? It should be, I'm a professional seller and I'm trying to identify if this individual likely is in a position where I can serve them or not. And if I can't, that's okay. And that's a big mindset shift that most reps can't take. That's why they're not having success.
Is your bookshelf color coordinated though? If it is, y'all better listen to this guy because he's keeping it organized and know what's up.
He is a master at what he does. He is a master at what he does, man. I got to tell you.
I love that. I love that.
I'm not going to chime in too much. I'm going to actually display something for everybody. So instead, I'm going to press enter in the comments. I want you all to see something. I talked to everybody about this last time, about where I start and how I end in the DM. I start in the comments I make my way to the DMs. It's very simple. What I just put into the comments is what I literally wrote a couple of hours ago. If anybody knows anything about Gated, the actual SaaS product Gated, it's trying to prevent spammers to get into your inbox by simply making sure that if you do land in the spam, what Gated could do is you'd have to pay something to a charity of the person's choice that owns the inbox to be able to get you into the inbox. So if you look at what I wrote, I made it super relevant, and I also used precedence on something I had done that's actually attached to the outcome that they're using to be able to get that individual in the DM. Go ahead and read it, have some fun, check it out, and you'll see exactly how I do my social selling.
That's
So
awesome.
why don't we give away a prize?
Yeah, let's give away a prize. I think it's that time.
Done. All right, so let's share my screen and let's give away the 2 prizes, Heels to Deals.
Wait, let me get the music
Brand
ready. I am ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready too. All right, let's go ahead and share my screen, everybody. So here we go.
Wait, should we say it one last time, like what it is? So we've got hashtag brand 30. Here's your last chance. Put in hashtag brand 30 if you have not to enter to win the Heels to Deals book.
Oh, I think
And
it's good.
Wait, hold on a second. Do you guys have a tool that automatically captures these and then randomly
Oh, yeah.
spins it out?
you know,
Oh, yeah.
Ricer.
Oh,
Angela!
Congratulations, Angela. You are the winner. Winner,
Congratulations,
winner,
Angela. We are thrilled that you've won. So let's go ahead and remove this. So what I'm going to do is, of course, as you all know, Angela, I'm going to reach out to you after the show, and I will connect you with Andrew and, of course, with Heidi so that you can claim both of your prizes. Let's keep the momentum going. Why don't we jump into second topic and then get into second prize at the same time?
Before we get into that second topic, the next prize will be given out if you enter to win hashtag Sam Sales. And the gifts will be, let me get that ticker going here. Here's our new ticker. So our prizes for hashtag Sam Sales include LinkedIn Masterclass series from the renowned Samantha McKenna from hashtag Sam Sales Consulting, as well as a Rev Genius t-shirt courtesy of our amazing homie, Jared Robin. Thank you so much, Rev Genius. So enter hashtag Sam Sales to enter to win those prizes.
Wonderful. Let's jump into the second topic. What do you think?
Second topic, relevance versus personalization. Now, a couple people had some interest in this topic. Who wants to kick us off? Anybody?
I can start because I think it'll lay the groundwork.
Please.
And I'm loving this one because so much is pointed towards personalization. The transition from personalization. John Barrows, I think, is the first person I saw call it personalization, which is like now this concept of relevance. And I love that because so many people spend so much time on the wrong stuff when they're trying to, go one-to-one outbound. And so when you think about success in sales development, which is in sales and sales development, the very top of the funnel, or marketing demand gen, you're trying to solve a simple equation: target, message, channel, timing, right? Are you targeting the right people? Are you saying the right things in the right channels at the right time? And so when you look at that equation, relevance is going to trump all, right? Target, message. These are the two things that are generally keeping people from having success. And you can have a perfect target with the wrong message and fail. But if you have decent targeting with a relevant message, you're going to have a lot more success than anything else, right? And that's where a lot of companies that really suck at outbound are doing a good job, because if you're, for example, on LinkedIn and you sell, any type of lead generation tool, you can be pretty shitty and you can have a lot of success there because it's relevant. I'm a sales rep spending my time on LinkedIn trying to get leads. Anything about that's probably going to bite. But if you came at me with something else, it's not going to fit, right? I don't care if we went to the same school and you're trying to sell me, some finance software, for example. Okay. So relevance is so important in this equation, and it's all about that one equation: target, message. And the messaging needs to be relevant and timely, and ideally in the right channel at the right time. So that's how I kick things off. That's the equation we're going after. And love to hear everyone's thought around personalization and where it's gone, and maybe where personalization is to like how Gabby said this before, where personalization may be too much versus how relevance can kind of trump that in terms of speed and outcomes that you're seeking as a seller.
Yeah, I mean, I'll jump in. I think where personalization is easy, great, do it. Like it's icing on the cake. What I see a lot is forced personalization, where it's like I'm trying so hard to show you that I know you, not to like totally misuse Sam sales. That's the antithesis of what she's teaching, but I think that's where it comes across as creepy or icky. So I'm a big fan of, if you're going to take the time to message someone on LinkedIn, clearly you've prioritized them. Don't blow it, right? Like relevance to me is taking the time to look at their company, to hypothesize, here's the problem I could anticipate they might have. But also, I love Will Allred's stuff on this, Lavender stuff on this, to present with an unsure tone, right? Like not to come in and say, because I spent 5 minutes looking at your website, like I know every problem that your business has. Again, it just ends up with us sounding naive. But if you can take the time to make an observation, my favorite take is to say, look, I saw your CEO was talking about trying to achieve this. Looks like from on the outside, you're trying to do it this way. Out of curiosity, have you ever explored how this might actually impact your ability to do this? If it warrants a conversation, I'd love to compare our thoughts against your observation, right? And so what you're doing with that is you're saying, like, I took the time to not just like look and see that you like dogs, but I actually looked at what your company is trying to do. And I have a take, I have a point of view. So you could either totally disagree with me, tell me to take a hike. That's okay. I'm not claiming that I know it all, but I think people appreciate that because there is such a sea of just forced personalization and irrelevant messages. So anytime we are going to take the time to, do an outreach to someone, my philosophy is like, don't waste it. Like make it worth their while. We talk to people who we think are interesting. We talk to people who create curiosity. That's kind of the philosophy I have for outreach in DM or email or candidly any channel.
Well said.
Yeah, I think it's also like one thing that's not discussed enough is relevance versus personalization at the different levels or types of businesses, right? So what I think is there's a direct correlation between personalization and its success. With SMB customers, for example. But as you go up the curve and go to mid-market, go to enterprise, go to more strategic accounts, that's where relevance also becomes more important, right? So it's not to say that personalization is bad. Like if I'm reaching out to a 5-person company, sure, that's totally fine, right? But your level of success in, let's say, an enterprise customer is going to be much lower with that type of personalization. So I don't think it's a this or that. I just think it depends really on the scenario. And then, for people that are harder to get a hold of, we know what the right answer is because, they're probably getting hit up by a lot of people and the answer is relevance, right? Typically that's in organizations, bigger CEO, yada, yada, yada. Within that case, relevance also has to do, I put everything in 3 buckets and people say like, what does relevance mean? And like any company is always trying to do 3 things, no matter what stage you're at. They're trying to increase revenue, decrease cost, or decrease risk, right? So relevance in that is the specificity you can attach to each one of those 3 elements that I just described, right? So how can you relevantly describe how they're trying to increase revenue? Because if you just say increase revenue, you're vanilla, right? You're a million people are saying that same thing. If you're talking about decreasing costs, can you get specific about how they're trying to decrease costs? If you're trying to, lower risk, can you get specific about that? So that's what relevancy means, I think, to kind of like when I talk to reps that are coming to me about like, how do I be relevant? I give them those 3 buckets and then they know where to actually pinpoint where to look for relevancy, what conversations to have to get those answers.
Very well.
So here's an example of the difference between the two. The minute you become a founder and you see that in your profile, you get so many development shops. And I actually looked with my co-founder, I get 4 a day of 4 different development shops, all sending me both on LinkedIn, and emails. And the difference between the ones that are good, the ones that are really good, almost like play out the thoughts that I was having earlier in the day, or like they take a piece of the conversation that I was having with John, my co-founder, and I like read it in their message. So for example, one person reached out and said, hey, I imagine if not now, at some point, you're probably going to be thinking about bringing on a developer with experience in language processing. Looks like that's a pretty technical piece of your product. I was like, yeah, you didn't know this, but we were actually talking about writing up a job description for that role. Great. Now, everybody else, it was like, hey, you're building a software product and you're a founder, so you probably need developers. Now, and that's the difference where like both you could say are relevant, right? And like, I agree with the idea that relevance is personalization for sure. But both of those were relevant because it relates to something that I'm trying to do. Like, I'm trying to hire a developer. But when you, that's where personalization does kind of depart from just relevance, because it was like, oh my gosh, were you listening to this conversation because I'm now reading what was in my head earlier in the day in your email? Like, yes, like, let's have a conversation.
Any other thoughts before we give out a really sweet prize?
I'll just say the production value on this is so high as compared to like the first Whiskey Wednesdays that I was watching and chatting in. I have been continually impressed throughout this whole night. So I just had to throw that out there.
Can you put me on, Jess? I just want to give him like a really nice thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. And for everybody else watching, you have no idea how much that means to us. Like, we put in everything into this, you know, like, I mean, for those who do not know, you know, our story is very simple. I'm not going to get into it because we have to make sure we keep time as much as we could. But, you know, me and Jess have our daytime gig, and we put in as much effort as we possibly can with our 2 kids and our life and our advisory stuff and our consulting businesses. Everything that you see that's residual or disposable goes directly into whiskey. So literally every minute, even nights, sometimes we're staying up until 1, 2 in the morning, just making sure that this stuff goes the way it is. So Nate or anybody else, when they give us compliments about this, believe me when I tell you all, it means more than you know. We don't just take it for face value or anything. It means everything. And we're going to continue to do what we can because our objective is to give. And our objective is, of course, to provide everybody with the most knowledge, but also having fun, right? We don't want to structure it like everybody else. We just want to do our own thing, and you're doing what they do best.
Thank you, Emily.
Thank you, Emily. All right, so why don't we jump into a prize unless somebody wants to jump in. I'll go ahead and just make that prize. So, Jesse, if you want to name off the prize, I'll get the screen back up.
Yes, absolutely. And let me pull that up. So last second, get in hashtag Sam Sales to enter to win the LinkedIn Masterclass series from the renowned Samantha McKenna from hashtag Sam Sales Consulting, and also a Rev Genius t-shirt. Courtesy.
All right, Julian. So Julian, you are the lucky winner. As I said before, I'm going to go ahead and reach out to you to make sure that you claim both prizes. Why don't we jump into our third topic, unless there is something that, of course, Gabrielle would like to say.
Okay, so here's my definition of like relevance compared to personalization. So to me, like personalization, the way that because I see it get abused. My whole world is literally like sales development and business development. I've seen it at many different organizations where people are like, hey, like send a video of yourself doing like cartwheels and then flash up their name at the same time too, and look on their Instagram and see that their daughter is really into soccer. And then it gets really like real creepy. Like, hey, like you're really into Lord of the Rings. So let me flip to page 100 in 2027 and make this quote. Like a lot of folks don't know how to take those pieces of information and then connect the dots to their solution. So I'm like, I think there is some part of personalization where people are talking about like metaphorical analogies and stuff like that. I'd say like unless you are a poetic genius of some sort, or like you are an English major, like that is not your strength, boo. Stick with relevance. Like relevance is looking at, all right, what is going on at their organization potentially. And I think this is what like I believe it was Jen who said this, of like come up with a hypothesis of what is going on at their organization. Like how can this potentially impact that person? And then what might be relevant to them in that moment. It requires deep knowledge, of course, of your prospects, and requires deep knowledge of your unique differentiators as well, and like their processes and workflows depending on what solution or service that you're providing. But there are so many times where I see people like break their brains trying to figure out the connection between the Great British Bake Off and a collaboration tool. So I'm like team relevance always and forever. And if you have absolutely nothing to go off of and you see that there's this one, they like matcha lattes, like sure, fine, whatever. But I'm a big like team relevance in that way.
So quick question, did I glitch earlier? Like what happened? Did we give out that second prize?
It's all done, yeah. So
wow, okay.
Julian won it.
Yeah. So Julian, Ivan actually put it up and the whole thing was on. So how about this? Why don't we go into the third prize before we get into our halftime slot? Now, the third, if you don't mind me, Jess, I'm going to go ahead and just divulge it. So
are we going to go into the third prize right now? Should I pull it up?
Third prize before third topic. So that way we are literally at our halftime mark at this point. Please go ahead and type in hashtag revenue. This is a big one. So in this one, the two prizes are you get a cold email operating system from Jesse Willett at Lead Magic. And the second is actually a 6-month free trial for Lavender Pro. And not only that, and a 30-minute coaching session with Will Allred. So just go ahead and put hashtag revenue. Just blow it up. Go crazy.
Hashtag revenue. Enter to win. You're going to
Like
want
I
to
said.
get those gifts. Those are some awesome gifts, by the way.
What?
Am I allowed to
Yes.
enter my name?
Yes,
into this?
guests
I want
can
to post
win.
sessions for Will.
Guests can
What?
absolutely win. Please type in hashtag revenue in the comments. Again, this is a course by Jesse Owlett. If you know Jesse Owlett, you know he's like a knowledge bomb. I read one of your comments earlier, Jen. You told someone to like put on your helmet because your head's going to explode. Like that's what it's going to be with Jesse Owlett because your head will explode. And then Will Allred, are you kidding me? These guys are like on top of their game. Like definitely put in hashtag revenue to enter to win those prizes.
And I want to say thank you. We are past 550 comments. Love you all. Like you have no idea. So
yeah, keep the good comments coming. And if you hear things or you have questions, there is a little bit of a delay on the comments, but please get those in there.
So we've passed halftime. Why don't we jump into our third topic? This one is driven by none other than Ryan. Sorry. The title always gets me. So whispering LinkedIn voice messages 101. For those who
wait,
sorry, go ahead.
Did I like glitch during the whole third topic of evangelism?
Oh, no, sorry.
My
apologies.
Okay,
it was like evangelism for alignment. My bad. Forget I said what I said earlier.
Absolutely get to whispering LinkedIn VMs because I think that's the one everyone's waiting for, but I don't know. Let's cover this one first.
I feel like you can't tease that and then go away from it.
You have to though, like because you have to stay and listen.
Exactly.
And the best prizes are at the end, so you might as well just stay anyway.
Yeah. So why don't we get into the third topic of evangelism for alignment? Who would like to start us off?
I think I'll go since it's my big money topic.
Yes, thank you, Jen.
Yeah. So for those of you I don't know, I'm the chief evangelist for Challenger, which I think is like the absolute worst title. I asked for it, so it is all on me. But I brought it up as a potential topic because candidly, I think we've all seen kind of like these reports from Gartner or Sirius or McKinsey or whoever that are saying like customers actually don't want sellers as part of the process. They want a seller-free experience. And I think one of the things that stood out to me last year when our leads were dramatically down was I was like, I can keep harping on marketing. I can keep trying to like bully them to create different stuff and different content, or I can try to figure out, is there anything within my control? And I'm always more in favor of like control what you can control and leave everybody else alone. So one of the reasons I brought it up is I'm super curious to get everybody else in the panels thinking on this. But to me, kind of evangelism is less about preaching like your solution and why your solution is the best and why you're the world's leading whatever, fill in the blank, and way more about becoming a voice that buyers, even if they're lurkers, listen to in the places that they go to learn. So like for me, I'm super lucky. I sell to salespeople. We know where sales leaders live. Like they hang out on LinkedIn. They may not post a lot, but they lurk there. And so I think it was really, really surprising to me just how many people would come in through a LinkedIn DM and say, hey, you wrote about this problem. That's the exact problem we've got going on right now. I want to talk more about that. But when you get them on the phone, they're the very same people who would say, yeah, I would never fill out a lead form because I don't want to be thrown into someone's lead process. So when I look at everybody else on this panel, like whether like we love the name or not, I would argue everybody on this panel is an evangelist of what they do, of good sales practices and things like that. But I thought it'd be interesting to talk about, kind of see what everybody thinks about the role and whether you love it, you hate it, you disagree with it, have at it.
Well, I think I can add some color to that because I had a actual paid role to be. They were calling me a brand ambassador for a period of time. Now I'm just doing content for them, but literally was getting paid for being exactly that for Cognizant for about 6 months, and that was really based on the fact that for 7 years or so I've been beating the drum around a singular topic, which is trying to help individuals be more successful at cold calling. And, whether it's an outsourced sales development firm, a technology, data, whatever it might be, to your point, Jen, lots of people will reach out about a bunch of different stuff, and who better to, brand around something like that than someone who's constantly talking about a system that aligns with the technology. And that program that I was running with them was very, very successful. I mean, we and it's still continuing. It's just I didn't want to keep giving up my brand because I was losing leads on my own stuff, and I do it for myself obviously as well. But if you have something of value to bring to the market that does not include your product or service, it's just, you know, information about how to solve industry level problems. You know, you're going back to what was said earlier around the 3 objectives, right? We're trying to increase revenue, decrease costs, or decrease risk, right? These types of things. If you can actually be at the forefront and evangelize a message, you're going to really set yourself apart. And this doesn't have to happen from the top. It doesn't have to be the founder. It doesn't have to be marketing. You can have your voice. It goes right back to the very first topic. And I think that it's an incredible opportunity for anybody to start doing that. And you've seen a lot of individuals skyrocket. I think of like Sarah Brazier is a great example of this from Gong. She, as an SDR, was really just talking about the stuff she didn't know. And the stories were they were engaging, but also sometimes funny, but also educational if you're a rep. And that skyrocketed her ability to obviously be successful in the role of sales development. But more importantly, as she grew, you could see her story go from, I don't really know what I'm doing, to, hey, I've learned a few things, to, I mean, now I think she has her own business that's helping individuals in this, in sales development. And so I think it's huge. I think it's the future of how to think about the current state of the casual LinkedIn we were talking about. I mean, I just love it. So I think it's a great topic. Curious to hear.
Gabrielle, what do you think?
Well, I was about to type. I've worked with Sarah Brazier, and she's so good at her job. Like don't get it twisted. She's the ultimate student of the game, and I think LinkedIn is where she can potentially have an outlet there. So I just want to say she's so good at her job. But one thing that I'm thinking about evangelism, I'll be honest, I don't always know what it means from the context of the seller themselves being the evangelist. But the things that I've always thought about as I've been a manager for 5 years. I really haven't been front customer facing really and truly in a long time. But what I always try to share with my folks on my team is hey, we as sellers, we are a channel. People aren't necessarily going to buy because of the product itself. What they're really going to do, what we can provide is we can really evangelize what our customers are able to accomplish through leveraging our solution. And so our job is to first and foremost understand what is it that our prospects are trying to accomplish, and then what are the stories that we can tell that shares that hero's journey, right? Underlined or underscored by our solution. So I kind of think of it as all right, we're evangelizing again the customer first, or in some organizations, it's going to be, hey, I want to have our customers be the ones who are evangelizing. So whether that first thing that I had, we would find that really motivated marketing leader, because it was marketing technology, but we would find somebody who's super motivated, who really wants to go out and build a brand, who's incredibly vocal. They want to be the one who gets sent out to conferences and talks on our behalf. And so we were really trying to figure out how do we build those evangelists. And I even think for Gong, it was all about creating raving fans, right? So how can we really equip and enable people to be those evangelists for us? So that's my interpretation of evangelism based off of what I've seen. I know there's to Jen's point that there's things that something like Jen would do, but that's my thought on evangelism when kind of aligning with our prospects.
Love
Yeah,
it.
So go ahead, man. Go ahead.
No, you jump in.
How about a giveaway prize, then we jump right back in it? What does everybody think? Good?
All right.
Let's do it.
All right,
Go ahead
hashtag revenue. Start getting that in. Hashtag
it's already in.
revenue.
We are good. We need to just give that hot thing away right now.
Okay,
So
just a reminder for anyone who joined since then, if you put in hashtag revenue, you are going to win a course from Jesse Owlette. You're also going to get 6 months free trial from Will Allred at Lavender. So our winner is, Eddie, who is it?
I'm waiting. Oh my God. Yeah, Alex, Alex and Elliot have been going back and forth about this the entire time in the comments. This is hilarious. Alex, man, congratulations. I could not be happier for you. So definitely try to create synergy with Elliot, because I know you guys have been going back and forth. All right. Alex, I will reach out to you, as I said before, on the past prizes. I will definitely reach out to you after so I can connect. Excuse me. Both you and Jesse.
Is the manager available?
Yeah.
Oh, it's Karen. You guys.
Karen, one second. I see we have Karen with us this evening.
Is that
Wait a
Yes.
second. Wait, I have one last thing. One last thing, Karen. One last thing. Do not go anywhere. The last prize is pretty huge, and I'm going to tell you what it is right now. So the last prize is Phone Ready Leads t-shirt, a t-shirt, a hat, a sticker, $3,000 worth of Phone Ready Leads, and a limited edition SAS Bros sweater. So it's like a massive package. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere, because I'm literally going to plug it in right now. The hashtag, as you clearly see, is going to be PRL. So just go ahead and enter hashtag PRL like right now. Blow the comments up. Have some fun with it. And then we're going to get back to it. Let us finish off with Nate and Andrew, and then I'll get back to the prize.
All right, we're still on evangelism versus alignment. So who wants to take it from here? Nate?
Yeah, or go ahead.
Or
Go ahead,
Andrew?
Nate.
No, Andrew, you jumped in there. You go, man.
Yeah, I'll
follow.
go. So evangelism, it's one of those vague words that you're like, what the heck does evangelism mean most of the time, right? And the way I think about it is like, at least in the software world, like most software that we're all selling or that's being sold out there is just a spreadsheet with an opinion, right? And that opinion is, hey, we believe this, we can increase revenue, we believe that, right? And so it's really just having conviction and putting that stake in the ground of what that is, right? Creating an enemy. So Drift did a really good job at this early on, and they created the enemy of saying no forms, right? We hate forms. If any of y'all drink Liquid Death, which is awesome water that's blowing up, right? It's water in a can. It's like death to plastic, right? So they're essentially just coming up with an opinion. And I think that's what an evangelist's job is, right? And then I think it's twofold there too. So it's, how do you spread that opinion that, we all have with the spreadsheet we're selling that we call software, right? Which it is software, glorified, whatever you want to call it. And then on the other side, evangelism is almost like, and this is going to be a nasty word that not everyone's going to like, but it's almost like running a political campaign for your product, right? Which is almost similar to having an opinion. Hey, we're this product. There's 30 other competitors now in the sales SaaS space. There's about 5,000 million products, right? But we believe this, and we can help you do this in this amount of time because, right, this is how we function and this is what we do, right? And so, and not only is a political campaign and organic content creation, but once you get your foot in the door in a deal after that first cold call, cold email, whatever, then you're trying to run that same political campaign within an organization, right? So that evangelism, there's kind of different pillars to it, but that's the way I would see it there in how it goes.
So I like it. And I'll build on it by saying, I think what evangelism is doing is taking a minority point of view and then sharing that out with the masses to change the way that they think. And that's also why, Jen, I actually love the title Chief Evangelist on you, because it is so challenger-esque. Like in my mind, that's what you are helping people do, is see a problem differently than they did before. And I think you do your job really well as an evangelist when you get people to say, oh, I hadn't thought about it like that. Because then the next thing that always follows that is, well, tell me more. And so I think if you are changing the way people think about a problem, and that's where evangelism isn't focused on a product, like our product is best, but it's like, oh, wow, I'm now thinking about what goes on in my daily life in a way that I hadn't before. That's evangelism.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, you're such a wordsmith. So of course you wordsmithed it so well. I think, if there's a question in the chat around like, what's the difference between marketing and evangelism, which is a great question. I think marketing is really about evangelizing the brand, the solution, the product, what you do. But in many cases, like what we sell is disruptive. We have to evangelize the problem. We want people to think differently about the problem. So you look at Chili Pepper, you look at Drift, you look at Lavender, right? They're all very different takes on how we've traditionally solved a problem. If we want people to buy that solution, they have to fundamentally agree that like there's a problem with the way that we've always done it. So I think, especially today, when a lot of us lose to status quo, no decision, as opposed to competitors, like, this is just the way we've always done it, so let's just stick with it. You really have to get people to think differently about the problem before they're ever entertaining your solution. And I think you don't have to be an evangelist to do it. Any seller can show up like that. And it just requires that you've got, to Nate's point, like a different point of view that makes someone say like, okay, that's interesting. Let's talk more about it.
So, Karen, we're going to be getting to this next topic that I think might interest you. It's whispering LinkedIn VMs. I'm not sure if you've heard of that one, Karen, if you're there with us. Excited to see your smiling face tonight.
The management team about.
Excuse me?
Well, the reason that I'm here is I'm trying to talk to the manager of the SaaS kids. And I hear he might be on the show tonight, Ryan.
Ryan? Where did Ryan go? There he is.
Karen, what did the kids do this time?
Listen, I have been getting so many calls on my personal cell phone over and over again. They won't stop calling me. I'm usually at the soccer field with little Johnny, watching him fit goals in, and all the SaaS kids call me. They quadruple dial me, and I don't even know the fifth. What's after quadruple? Somebody help me here. But
Quintuple?
Yeah, and they keep doing it, and they do it from different numbers now. And I hear there's this law that came out in '91 called TCPA, where they're going to arrest all the SaaS kids for making a lot of phone calls. That's why I'm here, Ryan, and I want to talk to you about it.
You know, unfortunately, there are a lot of SaaS kids that are armed with the wrong tools, these robo spam dialers and sequencers that unfortunately, sometimes it's not their fault. It's the tools they're using and the unenablement. What would be the right word here? Lack of enablement that their organization is providing to them. And, you know, at the end of the day, you know, you may want to come to me directly as the manager of some of these kids for maybe not really thinking through the experience for you, Karen. So
Listen, I download ebooks, and I don't mean to interrupt you. You've been very polite to people tonight. I even heard you earlier. You were very polite. But I'm really angry with these SaaS kids. They keep calling and calling my phone, and I've got a busy HR department to run here that's not going to run itself.
Well, Karen, you know, we're just getting off this topic of evangelism, you know, and I've been really working on trying to evangelize a better way, you know, so you don't get triple tapped and quintuple tapped,
whatever that word is,
whatever that is.
Listen,
spoofing is one that you might have heard. You know, they're spoofing numbers
the
so they
spoofers.
can.
I know those spoofers, and I don't like them.
Spoofers.
I download ebooks, and they spoof their numbers. They change their numbers to people that I even know now. They're calling.
They're making it look like they're somebody in your phone book. Karen, have you ever been called from yourself?
Yeah, they're doing some weird volley moves, and I don't like it. I like ebooks, and I fill out forums. I might be one of the only people left generating MQLs for those SaaS kids, but let me tell you something. I'm sick and tired of it. I don't want to get another call. I want Brandon Bornstein to take me out of his seamless AI, and I want Zoom info. Henry, please get me out of that big database you're running over there. That's a big database, man. You got to take me out of that thing. I got to watch little Johnny on the soccer field.
How old's Johnny, Karen?
He's 25 years old. Just kidding. Who do you care? I'm here to talk to the manager. Sorry, I got a little bit of an attitude tonight.
I guess no, Karen.
I got quadruple dialed by a few of the SaaS kids this afternoon, and it was bothering me, and that's why I'm here talking to the management.
Karen, why don't we jump into the fourth topic and let's see what you think about that. So
I don't even know if I'm going to hang out for this fourth one. I'm so angry. I'm going to go have a couple of glasses of whiskey myself.
I don't know why you're going to leave. I don't know why you're leaving. Why would you leave? So this topic is directly related to Ryan. So Ryan, why don't you just jump us off with Whispering LinkedIn Voice Messages 101 and what that is and how in the hell is it successful?
So I think this got mixed up with our keeping it casual. It was going to be like the title of that, but the idea of whispering LinkedIn messages. Now, for those of you who always want to have advice from
I want like a real
a guru, a
message.
real guru. Oh, I'm gonna share a case study. A real guru advice here. You want 100% conversion on your LinkedIn DMs. Well, you want to use a whisper, and I'll give you the exact framework, the exact template. And by being on the show tonight, it's 100% free, so you can take it. It's yours. No, normally I'd probably charge like, I don't know, $999, but today it's free. 100%, 100% conversion rate. But it has to be for funded SaaS CEOs who have raised at least $40 million in funding. And so the way this works is there, after you connect, no other message, all you 3-second voicemail, and sounds something like this. What'd you have for breakfast?
Whoa, that is scary.
That's
That
it.
is scary stuff.
That's
I'd
it.
probably respond to that. That'd be better than these SaaS kids calling me all day on the phone and everything they do. But good advice.
So
you call people and you whisper to them, "What are you having for breakfast?"
Well, no. So here's the. So for those who, and I think you're a little lost on this joke. Colin Mitchell, is co-founder over a company called Salescast, their podcasting company. He has a live cold calling show, and similar to one of the ones that I run. And I invited him onto my show. He got somebody on the phone. It was a founder of a company, and she was eating breakfast, and she was pretty irate. And he said, "That's not a problem. I'll call back." And she kept going after him. She's like, "No, don't call me back. Tell me what this is about." And he basically like changed his tonality. It was very soft, DJ-esque. I think he was trying to pull off like a Chris Voss move, late night DJ voice. And it was like, "So what'd you have for breakfast?" And that's where that comes from. And since then, it's kind of taking storm for those who listen to the show. And I took that messaging, and I've been, A/B testing it because I'm a demand gen cocktail specialist, and I like to mix it up. And so I use that exact message for the founder CEO of Work. And because he follows some of the content, that's why that joke kicked off, and it led straight to a meeting, which is now a pilot and will probably be a great customer for us. So that's where that's all coming from. Case study complete.
Well, it works if you
Loops
did
it right back into the casual of our first topic from today.
You read it on the internet, it's got to be true, right?
Exactly. Now, the reality here, and this is supposed to, I think, compound into the other casual LinkedIn stuff, is that we are in a world where everyone's trying to be so serious, so buttoned up, so robotic. Tactics like that can actually really help, again, differentiate yourself and get conversations that would otherwise be maybe a little bit more difficult to get into. And so that's a perfect example of kind of compounding content relationships that have been built over other conversations. This individual, we had spoken over the phone before. I was following his content. He had posted about LinkedIn DMs being lame. And so I led in with that, "What'd you have for breakfast?" And so that's an opportunity where you're paying attention to all the things that were covered in the casual side of things. So I think this topic got a little bit blended. It was, I think, supposed to be labeled
People
earlier.
are people. I mean,
yeah.
Right? That's really what it comes down to. People are people no matter where they are. And your technique of whispering just shows us that people are being people.
Anyways, I have to go. I got little Johnny in the other room. He's trying to figure out how to get his.
Karen, we appreciate you so much.
Yeah,
You're always keeping it real. Anyone have any last comments for Karen before she ditches us? Nope. No one has anything for you, Karen. So peace out.
All right, please just stop calling my damn phone and take me out of those damn databases, you big database providers. I got to get out of those things. Bye.
Thank you, Karen. Love ya.
Hashtag PRL in the comments to win. We have yet to give out our biggest prize of the night. Eddie, should we do that?
Let's do it, and then we'll get into Guru of the Week. Does anyone else want to touch on the whispering voice messages?
Has anyone ever tried to whisper in a voice message ever?
I
If I
just feel
don't,
like you gotta have like the voice of like Dwayne the Rock Johnson or something like if you got like, I know it's terrible to say, like, listen, if you have a very like appeasing voice to listen to, hell yeah. But I'm like, if you sound like the guy from, you know, the scary movie, like the scary movie parodies, like the Scream guy or whatever, I like, nah, that's a automatic black. So I just want to say, like, practice those vocal notes before trying to whisper.
you can play around with it. You can play around with your tonality and your presence with a voicemail. And the whisper itself obviously played because there was a joke. But I think that the reality is, like, if you're going to use these mechanisms, whether it's video, like we talked about earlier with the cartwheel and the sign up at the same time, like, it's all about timing and relevance as well. And so just playing around with the mediums and trying to find unique ways to get somebody's attention. That's what this is about, so that you can get further along in a conversation. And at the end of the day, this is all about being human to human. And it's just a funny way to try a mechanism that was created that obviously getting the storm here.
So why don't we give away the prize? So for those who do not know, first time here, once we give out the prize, we have 2 last little segments left. The second to last is our Guru of the Week. And then after that, we go in the after party. We're going to provide a link inside of the comments that's going to transfer you over into a Google Meet space, because we are no way in hell going to be able to accommodate everyone in this space. It only limits to 12. And I can clearly see that there's a lot of people here. So we're going to end up making sure that we have Google Meet link inside of the comments. So I'm going to go ahead and give away.
Wait, and don't forget Guru of the Week. You mentioned that, right?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, good.
So why don't I give away the big banana prize? Why don't we just put on like a nice like banana background? What do you think, Jess? Because this is like this gift is bananas. So I'm just gonna go ahead and
it is pretty much bananas. This whole night has been bananas. Wait, I got to get the music going.
All right.
Oh, Zach Davis.
Holy shit.
Congratulations.
Congrats, Zach Davis. So
Our
Zach,
big prize.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you exactly what you've won again.
It is the Phone Ready Leads t-shirt, hat, and sticker, and $3,000 in credits. Thank you so much, Ryan Reiser. And since he's here, Ryan, do you want to? Well, there is one more thing too. There is the Sass Bros sweatshirt. Like, hello.
I want a Sass Bros sweatshirt.
I know, right?
Get one.
Oh, Darren, Eric. Ryan, you want to tell them a little bit about this prize, since it's, part Phone Ready Leads?
Sure. So if anyone on the show makes calls for a living, then you know that the number one problem you face is nobody answers the phone. You buy, as Karen mentioned, data from these big databases like ZoomInfo, for example. You plug that into your Outreach or SalesLoft or Dialer, and you're going to have to make about 20, maybe 50 dials before you get somebody live. That's the world you live in today. With Phone Ready Leads, we've created a different approach. You don't have to bring in more technology. You don't have to change your stack. You don't have to change the way you like to look at leads before you make a call, or don't. It doesn't really matter. We take the exact same lead list that you're calling. We run our secret sauce and have you just call a subset of that. We call the Phone Ready Leads. And your connect rate is going to go from a conversation every 20 to 50 to something like every 3 or 5. So you can literally sit down and have a conversation from your mobile phone, a rotary phone, and have on average between about 8 and 12 conversations for every 50 dials that you make, versus the average rep having maybe 1 or 2. So that's what we do. That's what you've won. We're going to process 500 records through the system. And Zach, you're going to see how the magic works. Congratulations on winning. I'm looking forward to showing you the magic after the show.
For everyone else that's watching, if you do want to know more, like we put before, scan that QR code. That's going to lead you into a space where you can have the intro with Ryan and his team over at Phone Ready Leads. So let's get into Guru of the Week. I know we have a consensus onto who the Guru of the Week is. I'm going to go ahead and just allow anybody here freely to say it, or you can say it all together. I can do a countdown, 3, 2, 1. Does everybody know who it is? Yeah.
Who
Beautiful.
first put it in the DM?
Okay,
Was
let's.
it Alan?
okay, so-
Nate. It was Nate.
Was it Nate?
Yes.
Great.
You want me to just like reveal?
Go for it.
Am I good to go?
Do it.
Okay.
Love the week. Oh,
Dorothy at Lavender, congrats. You are the guru
Yes.
of the week.
we at Lavender.
She absolutely crushed it. I think it was last week, right? Or the week
Can
before.
someone tag her in the comments, please?
Yeah. Shit, I
I
got it.
mean, she just crushes it every week. That's why
Yeah.
she's the guru of this week, because she's built it up over a period of weeks, and it's like we just couldn't ignore how good she is.
Also, I just want to tell you, Dorothy put in one of the most amazing like content drops about how to think about sequences. So, I don't know. She's probably one of my favorite people to follow now.
Awesome.
She is great shit.
I'm not sure I'm following her. I'm gonna have to go follow her. Thanks
Oh,
for
you have to.
She's good. I like her stuff. So if she's tuning in, Dorothy, I appreciate you, girl. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
That's awesome. Everybody knew her in the DM when you guys brought her up.
She's been killing it. There was one that came out. It's like it just blew up, and like it was what was it again? It was a snippet of an email that she had sent out, and it was just brilliantly put together, and then it just blew up. And people are actually adopting this system right now. So from that point, I mean, that's when I first saw it, and I immediately started following. I mean, she's in Lavender. If you're in Lavender, I'm already following you. We had Will on the show. I mean, how could you not?
That's right. You gotta like squeeze in there. Let me take that banner off. But we're gonna be doing the after party, as Eddie said already,
Yep.
in Google, right, Eddie?
Yep. So let me get that Google Meet right now for anybody who wants to join us.
Yeah, we'll sit here and we'll hang out. Everybody can start filing in the Google Meet. We would love it if our guests would join us, but we understand it's late and, you know, people have to sleep. It's like a work night. But honestly, the after party is where a lot of the best knowledge comes from, because we get to engage with the audience. They get to come back and tell us their opinions on everything that we just talked about. So if you're in the audience, start thinking about what you guys want to talk about. Tom Slocum, I'll never forget all the knowledge that you shared, and I'm looking forward to connecting with you this week. But just some great people really show up and teach me a lot. That's one thing I love about Whiskey Wednesday. I feel like I'm learning so much from everyone.
I'm going to be like, master class. But I do want to say one thing. So there are already, 4 people that jumped in immediately. This is wonderful. So let me just go ahead and mute that so that way we don't have double time.
Can you put it in the private chat in here too, just so all the guests have the link?
Of course, absolutely. So I'm putting it into the private link. So this way, of course, our guests, we do ask you if you do have the time to join us in our after party inside of Google Meet. And while you are all still here, we do want to say, bottom of our hearts, thank you so much for joining us this evening. We had an absolute blast. And before we go, we always ask all of our guests, so that way, while our audience is still here, what were your thoughts on the experience? Would you come back? Just give us some overall feedback.
Anybody? Jump right in.
This is my second Whiskey Wednesday, and coming
Nala.
off of Nate's comment from earlier, I'm really, really impressed with your production quality. I got to get access to that tool you're using for giveaways, but thank you for having me again, and I'd love to be a guest again at some point in the future. So appreciate your willingness to have me on the show again.
We would love to have you, and we hope you can at least jump into the after party a little bit, Ryan.
I'll be there.
Yeah, I would just say like this is by far the best job at involving the audience. Usually it's like people talking at them, and I just love your format for that. So it becomes a big party and not just a bunch of people talking at each other.
Thank you. And
I'm going to put it out there, y'all. Best show on LinkedIn.
Wow.
Best show on LinkedIn. Y'all, amazing production. Karen cracked me up.
Karen is awesome.
If you can bring Karen every time, I'm here every week.
We do it every time.
He shows up.
Every
Karen
time. All right,
is the
well,
best.
I'm here.
Every time.
I'm here. I'm there. I'm gonna get a Karen T-shirt here for
Right?
Karen.
We have been thinking about that.
There, Ryan,
Yeah.
was it you and Pasha who made that Karen video? And it was like what song was that to?
I did not make that. I just helped promote it.
Yeah, you promoted it and it was awesome. Like Karen had like a Biggie song or something. It was hilarious.
Yeah, it's Biggie. It's amazing.
Karen has evolved over the past several months since we started too. So it's
Big time.
a lot of fun.
Yeah, and we enjoy doing this truly. And the one thing that we always tell people before we go is notice the value in what we're doing, because I love what you said, Jen. Our objective is not to talk at them, right? We're trying to involve everybody. It's a collective here. That's why we always talk about the give. Well, we were always trying to give in every way possible. And we tell everybody, again, as much as you're networking with, let's say, you have the knowledge that's being spewed every single week, you also have the people that are in the comments. Take advantage and connect with them as much as you're going to connect with us in the after party. Because I mean, there is massive value in this. And this is what we wanted from the start, me and Jess. We wanted, we always say it started as a joke. Yeah, it started as a joke.
High value.
It was just for fun. And we had 3 people watching, and then the story kept building. And every week we came back, and every single week we made it better. And that's what we strive for, to build together in public. And this is why when I tell everybody, look at my secret sauce, it's right there. Look at how I'm social selling. I do most of it on LinkedIn for whiskey. So we're not hiding anything. We're doing it all together, and we ask for feedback so we can make it better for both the guests and the audience.
And our sponsors and our partners. Thank you, everybody, for making tonight a possibility. Again, our hearts are with everybody in Florida. Please stay safe. And I hope everybody here that's with us goes into the private chat, grabs that Google Meet link, and joins us in just a second here. I'm going to play a closing video, but want to thank you all one last time for being here. This shit has been absolutely bananas.
Bananas.
It wouldn't have been without all of you and our audience. You're the ones who really make it happen. We want to make this good for you. So always reach out to me and Eddie and give us your feedback, because we want to hear from you, or just meet us in the after party. We'll see you there in Google.